Welcome back to the show. We are answering your questions today, and I love that we are getting more kids' questions. I've gotten a few, which I put in for today. If you missed it, I just did a live with our FitMom practitioner. She's a nurse that left conventional medicine, working in pediatrics to work in functional medicine, and so we're just really thrilled to have her on our team. And I've got some kiddos that I'm working with right now. I know another practitioner on our team does as well, Stephanie. So if you're interested in the kids program, links are in the show notes. You can take the quiz there and book a call with our team. We love helping the little kiddos and getting them a strong start, because how we support them now makes a huge difference in what they are going to face in the years to come. So we'll kick this off. The couple of questions that I got, and I just combined them into one. One was around a 2-year-old, one was a toddler, don't know the age, but it was really around throwing up after long road trips, and both asked about motion sickness. And so I know this is like one of the worst.
It is. Carson deals with it.
Or he has. All right. If you're dealing with water retention, you're waking up puffy, your ankles or your wrists are really swollen, or you can't get your rings off, and maybe you're even dragging throughout the day, no matter how much water you drink, there's actually a good chance that you're not actually hydrating properly.
Exactly. Because water alone is not enough. You need electrolytes. You need sodium, potassium, magnesium, because those things actually pull water into your cells. Otherwise, you're basically just flushing it out and wondering why you're still tired, you're still bloated, and you're still sluggish.
But here's the thing, most electrolyte supplements out there aren't helping you in any way, because a lot of them contain things like natural flavors, food dyes, and maltodextrin, which can irritate your gut. And these things can also spike your blood sugar when you're trying to heal.
That's why we both started using Buoy. It's super simple, just trace minerals and electrolytes in liquid form. No flavors, no colors, no sugar, no sweeteners, and you squeeze it into whatever you are drinking. Water, coffee, tea, smoothies, you name it.
And it's clinically backed by science too. So studies have shown that Buoy helps you hydrate better, 64% better in fact, and that's data coming from key blood and urinary markers, not just marketing fluff. And honestly, you can feel the difference. I've had many clients tell me their digestion's improved, they have less headaches, and they're better energy throughout the day.
And Buoy isn't just for people that go to the gym all the time and sweat a bunch. They actually offer a 35% lifetime discount for anyone that's struggling with chronic illnesses. Things like POTS, Hashimoto's, Crohn's disease, chronic migraines, and every autoimmune condition. They're really committed to making better hydration accessible to people who need it most.
I actually throw it in my coffee every morning because it's such an easy upgrade. You don't even taste it, but you're definitely gonna notice if you miss it.
If you're tired of playing hydration roulette and want something that actually supports your body, you've got to try Buoy. It's honestly one of the simplest ways to feel better faster. More recently, when he was younger, he did. And honestly, I think that we've done some stuff with like prebiotics, probiotics, citrate, just to help. Carson used to be more constipated. And I've never done a gut test on him, but I personally know I deal with a lot of histamine issues, and I think he is very much so my child. In terms of physiological things, Taylor's more Nick.
Yeah.
Bless her. But yeah, Carson, I remember vividly, we were driving home from like a 9-hour car ride. We just had Carson, not just had him, but like we didn't have Taylor at the time. And we were like 30 minutes from home. Carson threw up like 3 times in a row. Nick was like, we're not stopping. We're going to get home. I was like, I'm sorry. We are not letting our 3-year-old sit in his vomit right now. Nick was like so done with the car ride. I was like, get into that gas station. I am cleaning our child up. But yeah, he's definitely our, and the problem with kids is like, they don't give you warning.
Right.
It's like, I'm sick, vomit. So yeah, I feel for the mamas. We use Dramamine on long car rides, honestly. Yeah. But we have done some work, and even when he does watch his tablet on long car rides, like road trips, he's fine now. So, yeah, I've used a number of these, and we can talk about it, but for sure, the main things that I see drive it are histamine-based issues. So with kiddos, the histamine overload, a lot of times they might be like poor methylators, which will cause the histamine not be able to be broken down and detoxed as well. Gut issues, 1,000%, because certain gut bacteria will drive higher histamine levels and histamine release. And then there can be inner ear imbalances, and there can be nutrient deficiencies, specifically B6, magnesium, and zinc. So B6 chewables can even be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think magnesium and zinc, Andrew and I talked a lot about that. There's so many kids deficient in magnesium and zinc. We give Marcus the Metagenics vitamins, and then he's got his like immune tinctures and stuff. But if you have a kid who is picky with eating, definitely I would support them with magnesium and zinc. And I like the Mary Ruth zinc. I think that's a good one. But when we look at this, I will just run down the list here, of things that you can keep in your arsenal. Because honestly, I would be having all the things available to try to support depending upon how much you travel. There's a really great antihistamine support that I love. I've only found it on Amazon because it is a alternative. It's the same ingredients from an orthomolecular product, but just substantially cheaper, and the ingredients are the exact same. They just white labeled it basically, but it is a natural antihistamine supplement for sinus and allergy relief, pollen, pet dander, dust, mold, and odors. And it does come in a nice fruit punch chewable tablet. And so within there, you're getting some of these antihistamine supports. So you got quercetin, NAC, vitamin C. All of those are really good. So you can look that up. It's called Histamine Plus Kids. And then I would keep ginger chews. This is for anybody, just like in terms of like nausea. You can think ginger chews or capsules. They can even suck on like ginger lozenges depending upon the age. Acupuncture wristbands, so those can sometimes be helpful. You can look for like the C bands if you're thinking about like going on a cruise ship or whatnot, or even flying, that would work well there. Peppermint or essential oil, those can be good. I would actually do that, like rubbing it on their feet, their wrists, behind their ears, maybe a little bit on their chest. And then I would also just think about, beyond the B6 chewables and like magnesium or whatever, really just keeping the car at a nice cool temperature. Obviously, we know that nausea is just dramatically increased in intense heat. And then there are a couple homeopathies that you can do. So I'm probably going to botch these names, just a forewarning here, but we have the Coccolus indicus, and this is best for kids who feel nauseous and dizzy. So worse from motion sickness and just want to lie still. They may look tired, pale, and want to close their eyes. That would be the go-to. You can also get petroleum 30C. And so both of these are going to be boron, BOIRON. You can look those up on Amazon. This is really good for vertigo and queasiness that gets worse when the car starts and stops. So if your kid feels better eating something or craves salty snacks, this could be pairing with that and matching very well. With homeopathy, you're going to see that they are little like small pellets. I've even used some for Ethan post lip and tongue tie, and I was really concerned just him being 6 months, but they melt in the mouth super quickly. So, no choking hazards there. Just give it to them one at a time. And if you are going to take some of these before your trip, do it like every 15 to 30 minutes during the trip as well.
Yeah. So the next Q&A comes around cold sores. So
menopause, 51.
Yep, menopause. So what was mentioned is that she's 51 in menopause, has had more cold sores in the last year of her life than ever. Why? So something that we've talked about before on the podcast is that menopause stimulates the immune system in certain ways, especially low levels of estrogen. And so we don't see this as much in earlier perimenopause. So like when estrogen is more consistent, but it's just progesterone that starts to drop. People definitely get more estrogen dominant symptoms at that time, but this is more later perimenopause or into actual menopause when estrogen kind of plummets, because when you have low estrogen, it actually turns on immune activity because there's estrogen receptors on all of our immune cells. And so when you lose the estrogen, the immune system actually becomes stimulated. And so if we get a stimulation of the immune system, you have viruses that maybe are kind of under the surface. They haven't been super active, or you maybe are kind of just keeping them at bay, and the stressor of the low hormones has now launched it. Well, now we get viral activity. And so you get basically outbreaks, and this can look like eczema or psoriasis. It can look like cold sores in this situation. It can look like herpes outbreaks. It can look like a lot of things that maybe people haven't dealt with in a long time, but then it kind of rears its ugly head during menopause. So what can work? Ultravire X provides specific minerals combined with complements of kind of botanical compounds that have immunomodulating properties. So it basically supports normal, healthy immune function, because a lot of times in these situations, the immune system is either super hyperactive or it's super suppressed. And so we like immune modulators to kind of bring it into balance, right? You don't want just a stimulator. You don't want just a suppression. You want a balancer. And then Desbio symptom relief is another really good one, or colloidal silver. There's also, I want to say, by Research Nutritionals has herpes virus 6. And you can do droppers, and you can dose differently depending on if you're having like an actual outbreak of the cold sore or not, because obviously cold sores are a variation of the herpes. Basically any virus is a variation of the herpes simplex virus. They all stem from that virus. So for the EBV and chronic cold sores and immune, you use something a little bit differently.
Yeah, and you can actually do like colloidal silver. You can put that directly on. Obviously, you can use lysine, any of those patches or creams that you see at the store. I've had a couple of clients that have gotten them pretty religiously, and we actually went in with a peptide. So we use thymosin alpha-1. This is known as kind of like your master immune regulator. I think that can be very, very helpful. We did a little bit higher dose just for a shorter period of time, but this can help with chronic Epstein-Barr, fatigue, immune dysfunction. And then I also have had people do even like hydrogen peroxide as well. And I know that that is something that we've talked about for people who get them like in their nose, doing like a swab with, something like that, or just, again, colloidal silver. The next question is, why does dairy make my hormonal acne flare, and what can I do about it besides avoiding dairy acne, or it's a sneaky ingredient? I'm going to give you the honest to God truth here, first and foremost. If you know that it flares you, avoid it. It's not that hard to avoid. Many people live dairy-free. I guess it just depends upon, again, we've talked about this, is the pain of having acne on your skin or your face greater than eating the dairy, right? Dairy is hard, right? We just talked about this, one of our practitioners, and sharing his story, and he's had horrible skin issues for years, and we've done a lot of work. It's cleaned up, turned around. He looks great, but dairy is a trigger for him. And so I think that looking into dairy-free alternatives, right? There's a lot of different things that you can use in terms of like, I love the Coco June. You can do So Delicious. Like there's so many different dairy-free. Follow Your Heart. Like some of those brands are also really good. Sure, when you go out to eat, does it give you a little bit more limitation in terms of you're asking for, things without cheese, or, saying I'm not doing dairy right now. Is there dairy in here? Then, you have to take those steps further. But at the end of the day, if I was somebody who was having these big immunological flares, these big inflammatory flares, and it was coming out my skin, I would say that, you just need to avoid it.
Yeah.
But, it's just the truth. And yes, do the internal work. There's a lot of other reasons, and we'll talk about this in terms of, hormones and whatnot. Parasites can cause dairy intolerance. There's other things that can cause dairy intolerance, but you ultimately have to be the person who chooses to be the victim or the victor. And when I get questions like this, I struggle because it really makes me think this is like a total victim mentality. I understand that it's hard, but you also have identified that this is a major trigger for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So why is it a trigger? Is one, dairy has, especially like skim milk or milk, like think milky cheeses, think actual milk, think yogurts that are not like just a plain Greek yogurt. They have what's called insulin growth factor stimulation aspects to them. And so they cause more hormone production, in particular androgens. Androgens are what cause more sebum production, which causes more oil. And so you clog easier, you get more acne breakouts. So the type of dairy might matter here. Butter is probably going to be one of the safer options because it's much more fat and lower protein. It's the protein aspect that can basically stimulate this growth hormone at a lot higher levels. So you could potentially manipulate the types of dairy that you're doing. But like Liz was saying, at the end of the day, if you know it's a problem, it's like, do we either just accept that it's a problem and I'd rather live without this bigger problem of acne all over my face or my chest or my back and, have to make some alternatives and some changes. They will eventually become your new normal. That's the good news. It turns into your new routine. Or do I just fight it and be angry about it all, basically?
Yeah, and I think also testing here, because I have some clients that are very androgen dominant that avoid dairy and they still struggle with acne all, over their body, right? And so like I don't think acne is the only trigger for flares, I think that we also have to look at total inflammation in the body. We have to look at the internal health, what you have going on with, your gut, what else is going on with your hormones in terms of the balance of your hormones. How are your detox pathways, right? Like we always say from a skin perspective that shit will come out your skin. We know that dairy, as Becca is, mentioning here, yes, it's more androgenic. Yes, it produces more mucus and those types of things. But at the end of the day, there's other factors at play most likely. Like I wouldn't say that I think this is just the only thing to blame. But if you have identified that it's the only thing to blame, maybe it's ice cream, right? And it's the combination of sugar and dairy. And that doesn't sit well with you, okay? Go for, some alternatives that we kind of already talked about, the dairy-free. But I think that you probably want to do some of the deeper root cause healing work and just ask at restaurants, right? If it's a sneaky ingredient, if it's challenging, look up blogs, right? What are some of the common names? What am I looking for when I'm looking at labels and those types of things? The last question here is best remedy for recovering from surgery to build strength back up. So obviously we don't know what type of surgery this is. So we're just going to kind of give you our 4 top tips. I think number 1 is what we all struggle with, myself included, and that is to take proper recovery time. Don't push it. So I've had a few different surgeries in my life. I know Becca has as well. And the doctors will give you a specific timeline. And that's what they mean. They don't mean 2 weeks prior to that timeline. Like I've had even people postpartum message me and say, I'm 2 weeks, I'm going stir crazy. And I'm like, girlfriend, I get it. At the end of the day, you just went through a major traumatic event to your body. You lost an organ. You gave birth to a human that you grew. It's pretty wild. Chill. Take the 6 weeks and go for walks. Stretch, those types of things as you're feeling more comfortable. Like I even remember after Marcus, emergency C-section, it took me probably 10 to 12 weeks to be able to do a full workout. Like I started back in the gym, but I could not do full workouts. I was not pushing, right? I think you really have to listen to your doctors and listen to your body, but to help speed things up, of course, we can focus on things like anti-inflammatory nutrition, easy to digest foods. I would love for people to do more collagen and bone broths during this healing time. I think that can be very, very powerful. And then certainly think about keeping your bowels moving, especially if you're on pain medications, right? So whatever you need to do to open up the drains, again, when you have had a surgery, I don't know what type, and you're on some of these strong painkillers, that is going to slow things down and you can get very, very backed up, super uncomfortable. So if you need to throw 2, 3, 4 different types of things, and by that I mean magnesium, maybe you need to put in, a stimulant, laxative, a stool softener, more electrolytes, whatever you need to do it all. And then I think very powerful peptides can be helpful here. We love BPC, TB500, even better in the research at least, but I don't tolerate it well. And I know some of our clients have not either, is what we call the Glow blend. So it's got that GHKCU that can be very helpful. I think the TB500 to me has been the most powerful thing with injury.
Yeah, I find that the same. And paired with BPC, it's huge. And that's what I did I've had so many surgeries. I live life hard apparently, but I think back, I've had 6 surgeries, my tummy tuck included. And that was the one that I did the most for because I knew the most. All my other surgeries, I didn't know about peptides. I didn't know about how nutrition was going to impact things. And I wish I did. Because after a surgery, you just feel sorry for yourself because you're miserable. And all I wanted to do was eat bad food and lounge and do nothing. And then you end up stir crazy and you're like, oh, now I feel awful. It was hard, but I ate what I could the first day after surgery with the tummy tuck because I was so nauseous. I don't handle painkillers at all. I get very, very sick from them. And so the other thing is when you get a tummy tuck, the last thing you want to do is strain your core when you're trying to poop. So I was on lots of citrate. Thank God it helped. I didn't miss any days going to the bathroom, which was huge with anesthesia in the system. And I had one meal that night that I was just I just want a sandwich. That's what sounded good. Yeah. And then I went into the flush. I basically did pulsing of smoothies and Mediterranean with fasting. And I recovered, I think, very well and with a lot less swelling than I probably would have with the tummy tuck. So I used BPC and TB500 for 8 weeks post-surgery. I started it before the surgery. I used it after. And I did all of those things. And so I also didn't exercise for 8 weeks. Because with the tummy tuck, like you literally cannot. You can't strain. It's being on my feet for more than 15 minutes was painful. So like for 4 weeks, I was basically sedentary. But it was what it was. It was totally worth it. And now I'm on the other side of it. So I'm 6 months out and I just started being able to like fully push in workouts and do core again, which is crazy. 8 months out. So be patient.
Be patient. And again, we don't know what kind of surgery you had, but obviously the intensity there is going to vary. I think if it's, hip replacement, knee replacement, like a lot of those types of things, people, they get, because they've been in pain for so long, right? They get this wind of like, oh, I feel really good. And then all of a sudden the other side starts hurting because you've been compensating. So, I think it's also just remembering that there's a lot that your body goes through depending upon how it's been compensating leading up to that surgery. So if you found this helpful, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share the show. And with that, have a great week. We will be back on Wednesday.